Hello, it's September 10th, 2025, 10:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just doing a quick daily review of the stock market today. And it happened. The stock market actually rallied higher pre-market this morning, based on the PPI data that was released at 8:30, and that actually triggered a lot of the whole market pretty much rallying. I I anticipated that QQQ would actually make a new all-time high, which it did, and so that is now satisfied. Knowing that QQQ made a new all-time high, and a lot of the bears right now will say, "Okay, double top. We're definitely gonna be dumping. We're gonna be selling in the next day. We're gonna tank because of the CPI data releasing tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. before market opens." But I have a different idea. I know that a lot of people actually bought a lot of puts, but just not enough to put the skew up above 155, 156 level. The daily close on the skew actually closed at 151.2, 151.92, not even 152. And so what that tells me is that tomorrow, even if CPI comes in terrible and that we have a dump pre-market, usually on a Thursday, if we have data before open, usually that kind of gap would get filled tomorrow. So if tomorrow CPI comes in bad, the market will tank pre-market, and I expect that gap to close and we actually rally higher. And if, let's say, the other scenario is that CPI comes in positive, we are going to rally before we're going to have a gap up actually before market opens. Then again, similar situation is that gap will get filled and we're going to rally higher tomorrow. So that is my game plan that I anticipate, and it's all because of the skew. I went through X and read a lot of posts. It's sort of my engagement in what the stock market is pricing in. And I've seen a lot of people on X not hedging, but actually shorting the market, expecting a dump, expecting a deep pullback. But all we had was a pullback, about a 1 to 1.5% on these indices on SPY and QQQ. And we rally higher. And so I'm expecting that to happen. So tomorrow after the rally, I expect skew to actually reach 155, 156. And I expect that the following day when that occurs, we'll actually have some sort of sell-off for about a 1 to 1.25%. So today when market opened, I did swing the Nvidia calls and made a pretty decent profit off of that, and did not do anything into close. I was actually contemplating buying calls in the for about 2 days expiry. So that would be Friday expiry for QQQ or SPY. So for QQQ, I was actually watching the close, and I was contemplating on buying calls at the 578 level, 578.9, 580 level for about 0.8, and probably make about a 1.6 or 100% profit. I expect Q to probably get to 585 tomorrow. I also expect SPY to get to probably the 658, and if I'm stretching, probably the 660 level before we dump. So we're gonna make another new all-time highs on all these indices. The one other stock that was doing pretty terrible today was Apple. And so if you look at a daily, Apple actually tanked pretty hard today. And if we get to the 223 level, which is the lower Bollinger Band, I have to wait and see if we print a hammer tomorrow and an increase in volume. Perhaps that would be a good swing long for Apple, probably 2 weeks out, and probably target the 232 level. So probably grab a strike around 232 for 2 weeks out calls and hope to get about a 75% return on those type of calls. But we'll see what happens to Apple tomorrow. Microsoft is lagging behind, and I expect Microsoft to test the lower Bollinger Band level once again. So if Apple and Microsoft realigns itself and starts rallying, that would definitely be beneficial to QQQ. Meta today sold off a bit, but that's Meta. We had a decent amount of volume traded today, and I expect it to sort of retrace back, not to the lower Bollinger Band, but probably to the 340 level, just to retest that level before ripping higher to the upper Bollinger Band of 783 level. Hood is a good short candidate, and that's why I've actually posted it on the YouTube post to watch Hood for a decent short. I think Hood has a good, decent chance of retracing back to the 108, 110 level. And again, just watch that volume bar. It's a pretty good, decent candle that printed today, a shooting star candle, but I was hoping we had a weaker close into the end of the day, but it kind of came back a little bit. But keep Hood under your radar as a potential short. The other ticker that I'd like to just keep an eye on, but I really do not want to trade it, is Coin. We saw a beautiful rally yesterday and the day before, and today it sort of gave some of that back. And again, keep an eye on that daily volume candle is very, very important. I don't see it getting above, let's just say, the volume around Friday's volume candle. Then if it gets above that, perhaps it's a good, decent short, probably a short-term short swing play for that one. Tesla's been a pretty funny ticker. I think it's getting a lot of support. You can see that there is a decent amount of volume today that kept it above the 345 level, and I think people are trying to push this up above 350, but it just keeps failing it. And so if we don't get above 350 tomorrow, Friday might be a very good candidate for a Tesla Friday. I think last week Tesla Friday for longs did not work, and the Friday 2 weeks ago also didn't work. And so I think Tesla is due for one of those 0 DTE calls on a Friday that goes from 1 to probably 2.5 to 3. But I still expect Tesla to actually dump. I know that my previous analysis is that Tesla seems like a good short candidate. We are testing the upper Bollinger Band, I think at least 3 times since last Friday. And it's just been consolidating. Great support above the 345 level. So keep an eye on Tesla. Anything below 340, probably a decent short back to the 330 level, 320 level. But again, I took a loss on that one. I bought it for 2.2, and when I saw it dump on Monday or Tuesday, I quickly sold it for 2. I just didn't think Tesla would sell, and it didn't. So we'll see. Keep an eye on Tesla. Nvidia, great gap up. I think a lot of the semiconductors actually rallied or gapped up in the morning based on the good PPI data that came out. So semiconductors like Nvidia, AMD, AVGO, MU, those all did very, very well today. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Nvidia actually stayed up pretty well throughout the day, intraday. And if I show you the 5-minute chart, it stayed up pretty well given what happened during the session this morning or during the day when S&P started selling off, QQQ started selling off. Nvidia held its own. It held a gap up. So we most likely will see a continuation of that tomorrow. And Bitcoin actually started rallying overnight, but it stayed up above the 111,000 level, which is pretty good, pretty well held. And yeah, so tomorrow's game plan is, I expect it doesn't matter what the data is. whatever the price action shows tomorrow, we're going to see a gap fill and then a rip up higher. And if it's not a rip up higher during the day, it's going to be near closing. So let's just see what happens throughout the day. Keep the position small. And let's just see, perhaps when we close tomorrow, skew is going to get to 156 and above. And that will cause every bear to panic. And not because of the skew, but because we're getting new all-time highs every single other day. But I do expect a 1 to 1.5% drawback, probably next week, early next week, before we rip up higher. So that's it all for today, and please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.